Hey everyone, this is Miss Everett. I am a science teacher here at GWU OHS, and today we're going to be making rock candy together. Rock candy is something you can buy sometimes at amusement parks or general stores. It has a stick covered in little bits of what kind of looks like rock salt, but it's sugar. It's rock candy, and it's usually of fun, different rainbow colors. So what I'm going to do today is show you the process of making that. We're here in my kitchen. It's pretty quick. However, you do have to let it sit for a few days and form. So I have a completed version that I will show you afterward as well that is ready to eat. Okay, in order to make rock candy, we just need a microwave safe dish of some sort. I'm going to use a clear one so you can see as I work. We do need lots of sugar, about 3 cups of sugar, just plain white sugar. And then you are going to need 1 cup of water, and then something to stir, and then a microwave. All right, so let's get started. First, we need 3 cups of sugar, 3 measuring cups worth of sugar. That's quite a bit of sugar. Just so you know, typically we don't use this much sugar when we're cooking. All right, once you've dished out your 3 cups of sugar into your microwave safe dish, then you're going to add your 1 cup of water and mix it really well. So look how much sugar this is. It's quite a bit. All right, so now we add the 1 cup of water. And it won't look like very much water to sugar here in our ratio, but that's what we're going for. Way more sugar than water. Okay, so now we just mix it up. And as we're mixing it, it's a kind of a murky substance. It will look very much like, kind of like Karo syrup, I guess you could say, fructose syrups. All right, mixing it really well. Okay, once you've mixed it for about 30 seconds, then we're going to put it into the microwave for 2 full minutes. Now the dish will get very hot, so after our 2 minutes are up, make sure you're very careful whenever you pull it out. Okay, 2 minutes into the microwave. All right, well, while that's cooking, I do want to share with you exactly what it is we're showing here. We are showing a super saturated solution, and this is something we'll talk about in chemistry and in physical science, but if you have not covered those classes just yet, or if you need a refresher, super saturated solutions are solutions which are dissolving a little bit more solute than we normally would see dissolved in a solution. A saturated solution has as much, typically the maximum, we say, amount of solute dissolved into a solvent. In our case, we have sugar, our solute, dissolved into water, our solvent, that can dissolve. However, you can actually force a little bit more solute to dissolve than normally would if you heat it. So whenever we heat a substance, the molecules move faster, we're capable of dissolving a little bit more solute into our solvent, and we create a super saturated solution. Now, the only issue there is this only works when it's warm. So as this solution begins to cool down, suddenly it won't be able to hold all of that extra sugar that we've put in there. So the sugar that's excess will come out of solution, and it will attach itself to whatever happens to be nearby. If you have just a regular glass or a cup of some sort, that extra solution will sit at the bottom. Kind of like if you had iced tea that's cold and you put more sugar into it, the sugar just sits at the bottom. It's going to look very similar. In our case, we're going to put a string into our solution so that all of the excess sugar collects into one location, and then we can eat that sugar. All right, so it's just about finished here. When it comes out, remember it's very hot, so use some oven mitts or be very careful. We're now going to stir it really well, and then we'll do another minute into the microwave. You're also welcome to add food coloring, and we're going to add green food coloring to ours because that's just fun. Okay, here we go. Now you'll notice it's still that murky color. It's thicker in consistency because that sugar is now dissolving into our water nicely. So give it a nice stir and add your food coloring. We added quite a bit of food coloring whenever my daughter and I did the first attempt at this. So add as much as you'd like. Now, food coloring is not required, so you certainly don't have to if you don't want to. This one kind of looks like slime. All right, here's what we've got going so far. Here's our green sugar water solution. I'm just going to give it a couple more stirs here, and now it goes back into the microwave for another full minute. What we're doing is really making sure all of this excess sugar gets dissolved into our solvent here, which is our water. Okay, back into the microwave one more time. Again, this dish will be very hot coming out of the microwave at 1 minute. Okay, now we wait 1 more minute. Now, while that's working, we need to create our string that's going to go into our solution. So for this, you're going to need a pencil or some sort of straw, long object like a pencil. And then you're going to need a little tape and a piece of either string or yarn. I actually prefer yarn. It sticks a little bit better to the sugar. Let me show you. Okay, so here's my pencil. Here's my yarn. And here is, my tape. Sort of my tape. There we go. All right, what we're going to do once we're finished heating up our substance one more time is pour it into a clear dish. I've just got a clear jar, mason jar with a handle. So I'm going to use something like this. We're going to pour it into a cup, a smaller cup. And then what we need is for our pencil to sit on top of the cup. So you do need an opening on your cup that isn't too large, something that will fit your pencil. And the string will dangle off of your pencil into the solution. That way the sugar can collect onto the string, or in our case, yarn. All right, let's pull out our dish. Remember, it will be hot to the dish. Okay, now we have our green, almost rock candy. I'm just gonna give this one more quick stir, and I want you to see what it looks like now so far. Kind of looks like a cup of algae. It's the best way I can describe it. Fairly thick. All right, now we want this to cool down for about a minute because we definitely don't want to put a super hot liquid into glass. Glass expands and contracts very easily. So if we were to put a super hot liquid into our smaller cup, it could expand rapidly and explode. So we don't want that to happen and have glass everywhere. That's very dangerous. So I'm going to give my hot sugar water solution a minute here. Okay, so while that cools, I've got my string. So I need to go ahead and put my string, I've looped it over my pencil, and you can tie it just to kind of give yourself a starting point. And then I need to make sure my string can go into my glass, but it doesn't necessarily just sit at the bottom. So I don't want it too long. I'm gonna kind of spin it a little bit like this. And then I can check, make sure it fits into my cup nicely. It's still a little long, so I might go a little bit shorter. Now I also recommend that you tape the top just to kind of keep that hold tight. So I'm going to get a little bit of this tape. And I'm going to tape the top of my pencil. Okay, now I have my string ready to go. I do also recommend dipping your string in advance of putting it into your glass dish, the cup that you'll actually use for letting your super saturated solution sit for a while. I recommend dipping it now into the solution and then setting it to the side for a second. It just helps weigh it down a little as we eventually put it into the final cup. So right now I will show you. I am dipping my pencil into my original green dish solution. I'm going to pull the pencil out. It will be covered in thick sugar goop. I'm going to set it to the side to cool off with my liquid for just a few more seconds. All right, now comes the most dangerous part, pouring it into the smaller glass dish. Be very careful as you do this. I do recommend having an adult or someone who's older help you out with this. But we're going to carefully pour our substance from our big circle dish into this dish, fill it just about to the top, and then we're going to place our pencil in there with our yarn. Okay, here we go. I think that's probably cooled off enough now. All right, liquid into the smaller glass. I've got a little extra, so that can just be tossed. Now I have a glass of my green, soon-to-be rock candy. Okay, it is time to submerge our yarn. The yarn is where that rock candy will collect as this solution begins to cool and that excess sugar needs something to attach to. All right, so I'm going to put my pencil right down into my dish. And now we're just going to set this aside and let it sit for about 3 to 5 days. You'll notice as the sugar begins to collect on your pencil, just how quickly it forms, and then you'll have a feel for how many days you want to let it sit so that you get as much sugar as possible. Okay, well, I think it's time now to look at last week's to see how it turns out after we let it sit for a few days. So here's the one my daughter and I made. We made it very deep purple. It looks almost blue on camera. It's very purple. Okay, so in order to get our rock candy out to dry, just wiggle your pencil slightly, and you'll notice that the yarn will now slowly come up with the excess sugar attached to it. Ours is very sugary. Let's see if we can get this whole thing out. Oh my goodness. Okay, here it is, our rock candy ready to eat. It will basically just taste like sugar, but it should be delicious and nice and caramelized. All right, everyone, enjoy your rock candies.